you'll be able to read that if you want more information on any of that. And then we also have a text box here, which is this button here. So if you click that, it should open up a panel down here, and you'll be able to type in scores there, or sorry, type in any questions that comes in, or I'll be asking you a question later. So just that you know that's there, and it might look a bit different on a phone and stuff, but the buttons should look the same. You'll find them eventually. Okay, so I'm just going to reshare my screen now, and I'll get going at the presentation. So why are we here tonight? So basically the GAA has released Be Ready to Play resource or program, and it's on a national scale. It's available to all players and all coaches, and it's kind of focused on the areas of strength and conditioning and sports science. And really what they're trying to do is give access to players and coaches to resources at a really high level so that they can better themselves and improve in all sorts of areas, whether it's strength, whether it's speed, whether it's reducing injuries, and to make better players across the board in the entire country. So what we're presenting tonight basically is how to get the most out of that for the team you're working with, for the players you're working with, and then to benefit the club going forward. So to start off, I'm going to get you working straight away with a simple question. So what type of strength and conditioning sessions will be useful for the players you're working with? So don't just think straight away about the next 2 weeks or just during lockdown. Think going forward, what type of strength and conditioning sessions would you love to see your players doing? And you can type that into the text box, and then we'll see what comes back, and hopefully it'll be in line with what's going to come throughout this presentation and throughout this program. So I'll get you typing in your stuff there. So what type of strength and conditioning sessions would be useful for your players that you're working with? And Paddy is just give me back anything that comes in. I'll give you about 30 seconds to type some stuff in. If you have more than one answer, don't be afraid, type the stuff in.
Oh, and a good few people jumped in there just since you started talking, so they're continuing to come in here as well. It's great to see them coming in. Yeah, but just again, you might repeat the question again in a few seconds' time, just for those that came in a little late. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. I'll give it a little bit of time. So again, what type of strength and conditioning sessions will be useful for the players you're working with? So that's just a quick question for each answer there. I'll give it another few seconds. Don't have to rush your answer, Anthony. Have a think about it. And again, if there's a couple of things, write them in. And then Paddy, when you're ready, can you just let me know? I can't see the text box there.
Core work, Owen. It's the first one from Robbie there, yeah. So something definitely will be covered.
Good stuff, Robbie. Any more flooding in?
No. All quiet. Injury prevention, Ryan, yeah, definitely.
Lovely stuff. Core injury prevention. Any other sort of stuff? If it's the same, that's fine. Type it in again.
Leg and knee strength and agility. So agility is very important there. Yeah, changing direction. It's very important. They're going to come back into it. Definitely.
Good stuff. I'll just give it another few seconds. And don't be worried or anyone, if you don't know an answer to that question. It's not a thing that you're supposed to know or anything like that. And hopefully this resource will be a huge help to you if that's the case.
Sinead, I think.
Okay. Lovely stuff. So we'll move on.
Just flexibility and endurance. Sorry, Owen. Just flexibility and endurance are two that come in towards the end there. Sorry.
Okay, brilliant. So what I'm going to do is just give you a brief outline of what the program is basically. So the first thing is this was what was posted up on the website and goes along with all the promotional stuff. So Be Ready to Play is a season-long coaching and sports science program delivered via webinars, website programs, instructional videos and live sessions. So it's a bit of a mouthful, that sort of a sentence. So I've just broken it down to make it a little bit easier to understand. So basically my understanding of it and what I see it to be so far is a resource to aid your coaching. So that includes webinars in all areas of coaching and sports science, online training plans for players to follow and for coaches to implement, and it's a season-long program. So this isn't a thing that's out there to combat lockdown. Obviously it's going to be a huge help for the next while, but it's not a case of this is released for that purpose only. It's going to be something that's going to be there going forward in years to come, and should be a huge resource for coaches to use for the foreseeable future. It's going to be a permanent fixture within the GAA, and then it's devised by leading experts in the field, and not just even in Ireland, on an international scale. So that's basically a quick outline of what exactly it is. And then I suppose, why are we implementing this? Why did the GAA bring this about? And why are we bringing it to you tonight? And basically, it's to improve players' enjoyment, first of all, improve their performance, improve participation, and then to reduce the risk of injury. So we'll improve players' enjoyment because it should be very suitable to the players that are using the resource. It should improve their performance with the stuff you talked about there. So whether it's agility training, it's improving core strength, reducing the risk of injury, obviously, all that stuff will help performance. And then improving participation. If it's very suitable for players, participation rates should stay pretty good. People won't drop out because stuff gets too hard too quick. As this is very much individualized, it can be regressed and progressed for every individual that's using it. And then again, just some more information on it. So it's broken down into 3 sections. So there's a youth section, would be 13 up to minor, so under 15s, under 17s, and then 13-year-olds. There's an adult section then, so your under 20s might be at that level, and then an advanced adult as well for those who maybe find the adult too easy or competing at a high level. So there's 3 kind of sections. As I said, it's suitable for all players from 13 up. Obviously, you fit into a certain section. And then there is athlete development programs released every fortnight, so every 2-week blocks. There's the sports science webinar monthly, and then there's a coaching webinar monthly as well. And they are kind of every 2 weeks there's a webinar, so it jumps from sports science to coaching. And then, as I said, it's a permanent resource. So there's kind of, when you break it down, it's not the most complicated sort of a program out there, but really it's going to be a huge value to players, but definitely for coaches, and coaches engaging with their players for the next couple of weeks, and then having something in their back pocket going forward when they're back on the pitch. So I am just going to make sure that you can hear this and play this video. So this introduces the youth section. Once you log into this, and we'll go through that later, there'll be a similar video and everything for the adult sections, but we're just picking youth because we're assuming most of the people on this call is for youth. So just have a listen to this video. She introduces it a whole lot better than probably I could.
Youth Athletic Development Programme. This programme is aimed at the teenage youth player. Participants must be between the ages of 13 and 18 years of age and free from injury. During the teenage years, the player is still growing and developing. All teenagers grow and develop at different rates, and so training will vary for each player. The programme is led by the individual and determined by the physical ability of each player. To cater to all levels of ability, there will be suggested regressions and progressions for exercises throughout, as well as various suggested options for weekly workload. This programme will take the player through 4 phases of training. Phase 1, the activity phase, will focus on building strong movement foundations through the introduction of movement skills and components of fitness necessary to participate in Gaelic games. Phase 2, the development phase, will focus on reinforcing the foundations laid in Phase 1 by challenging movements with an increase in intensity. Phase 3, the prepare to play phase, will focus on building a powerful and fast player on top of the solid foundations laid in the first 2 phases. And finally, Phase 4, the prepare to perform phase, will focus on challenging all areas of development at game intensity. The 4 components which will be developed through the phases are stability and mobility, strength and power, speed, and endurance. Demonstration videos, which include key coaching points, have been provided for each exercise, as well as a program guide for each session. Mobility screening guidance is also provided to help players identify areas of restricted mobility. It is recommended that all players complete these screens regularly throughout the phases, continually pursuing better movement. Additionally, challenges will be presented throughout the phases, encouraging all players to further progress their athletic development. The focus during the teenage stage of development is muscular strength and skill competency, underpinned by good movement ability, which builds the foundations for sports performance. With the focus of training remaining on building strong movement foundations, not only can we expect to see better performance on the field, but also a reduced risk of injury. It is important that all participants follow the program closely, starting from phase 1, with an understanding of the importance of easing into more advanced activity throughout the phases, to ensure a safe return to play.
Okay, so as you can see there, it's really well structured, really well thought out, and as she said there, it's really based on every player's individual performance. So someone just has their mic on there. So if the players, for example, the mobility screens, if a player has certain weaknesses, they'll be able to target that. And also every player should be able to start at a certain level and work their way up as they get better. So the next video I have is just kind of an outline just to show you what exactly the program looks like. So a program is out there and then they make a video with demonstrations and an explanation on all the stuff. So it makes it really clear for players to understand, and it also makes it easier for coaches that if they're working with players through this stuff, the coach can also understand it and the coach isn't worried about if they're doing it right or wrong. So I'll jump to the next one there.
So we're now going to introduce a movement challenge. This is the overhead wall squat challenge, and it's a challenge of mobility and stability. So we want everyone to try this challenge out and try and improve on the challenge throughout phase 1. So I'm going to have Jake demonstrate this exercise here. So you're going to stand about 30 centimeters out from the wall. So Jake, you can come just slightly closer to the wall. Perfect. With your feet about shoulder width apart. You can have a slight rotation here, but not too much. So feet pointing forward or just slightly rotated out. Hands are placed on the wall overhead. What you're going to do from here is squat down as deep as you can, allowing the hands to run down by the wall. So Jake, you can do that. Good. Okay, so Jake's got good mobility here. So I'm going to get him to move a little bit closer to the wall. If you're struggling with that, you can stay where you are or even move a little bit further out.
Okay, so just an example of one of the exercises, and they have that in it as a bit of a challenge. So as you can see, even though there's all the fancy equipment in the background, none of that is used for the program. They're assuming people are doing this stuff at home or maybe on the pitch and have limited resources. So everything is nice and simple to understand, but it's still really important to be able to work on them exercises. So that simple exercise there looks very simple, but an awful lot of players, no matter what age they are, even if they're senior players, would struggle to do that exercise really well. And it points out these weaknesses and it's working on things that's going to help them as players all the time.
Oh, so and sorry, before you jump on, like somebody that's poor on that, they're at a risk of what?
Well, being poor at that, first of all, in terms of performance, if they're poor on that, their squat is poor, and it means that they won't get as much out of training the squat as they could if that was at a really good level. And then big time for reducing injury. If you're unable to get down really low in your squat, you know, your knees could be a bit weak and your ankle mobility is poor. So it's raising a little bit of risk of injury in them sort of areas. And like that guy there, I don't know what age he is, I'm guessing 13, 14. If you can sort out them sort of issues really, really young, it means he might never come across them catastrophic injuries or even niggly injuries and annoying him all the way through his playing career. Hope that answers that, Damien. So then moving on, just there's a couple of more.
Squatting down again, letting the hands run down along by the wall. Good. Jake's got good depth. Okay, so this is going to teach you some nice posture for acceleration and the biomechanics of acceleration. So Henry, I'm going to get you to flex your knee up towards the box. Hold that position. So you can see here, Henry is flexing up at about a 90-degree angle. So bring your heel forward a little bit more. So about a 90-degree angle at his knee. And his toes are pulled up. So his foot is flat to the ground. And that's what you're looking for on this movement. So we're going to perform a drop and drive movement here. So we're just going to perform a switch in position. So Henry, you're going to drop and drive, good, and drop and drive, good, and continue that movement. And we're going to go for about 10 repetitions here on this. So just taking your time with this movement, you'll notice the back leg is extended. You're on the ball of your foot.
So then just again, another simple example for acceleration. someone had said agility earlier on, so it's dealing with all these things that we want our players to get better at, and the advice there is really, really good. If I was on the pitch working with someone that's the same type of stuff I'd be trying to do, not only is the exercise itself applicable, but the advice that's being delivered is really, really valuable. So whether it's a coach that's watching that and wants to bring that to the pitch or to a session that they're going to be delivering, or if it's a case of they're directing their players to it, everyone's learning all the time. The coach is learning on things that they might be able to look for and help with players down the line, and then the players themselves might be learning from seeing and from listening. Just another example then.
We're now going to take it onto a cool down stretch just to finish off the workout. Okay, so for the cool down stretch, you're going to hold each stretch for about 30 to 45 seconds. And you're going to flow through a routine here from standing position down onto the floor and then back up onto the feet. Okay, so Henry, we're going to just start off with a stretch for the posterior chain, so along the calves, hamstrings, glutes, into your back, and we're going to stretch through the chest as well. So I'm going to get you to take your hands behind your back, interlock your fingers, and then you're going to pull your arms back to stretch through your chest. From that position, feet pointing forward, just about shoulder width apart, you're going to hinge forward at the hips and try bring your arms up as high as you can to the ceiling. So you're pulling your hands up to the ceiling and trying to keep your legs nice and straight on this. Good. So we're going to hold here for 30 seconds on each stretch.
Okay, so then just an example of in the cool down, there's a stretch there. I'll be honest, I had never seen that stretch. So if I'm learning from it, I'm sure there's lots of coaches and players that are going to learn. And again, thinking forward, it's not just about what we can achieve in the next couple of weeks or foreseeable future. That's the type of stretch that could be brought into training at any stage, and adding it to a coach's repertoire and having it in the back pocket. And it's only one of the a multitude of exercises that are going to be throughout this program as it evolves through. So what the program looks like, so you can download all this stuff off once you enroll through the GAA Learning, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So you have a warm up there, you have loads of different exercises, they're all shown through the video, you have your reps and sets. As we see there, you have a speed section, you have a strength and power section, you have a cool down, and then you have your warm up. So it covers all the different things, again breaks down the exercises really well and gives you all the details that you need. And then there's also different types of sessions that coaches can decide what might work for their team or what they'd like to implement. So there's an endurance circuit. So over here again, there's more details. I just took quick screenshots to give you an idea. And then over there is a running with skills with the football, I suppose, but basically the fitness is the main priority there. So different things are going to work for different teams, and coaches can kind of dictate what they'd like to implement with their teams. But again, going forward, it's not something for the next couple of weeks. This can be used at any stage. Those type of drills can be used through training, and even if it just gives you ideas and you adapt from there, that's fine too. So then logging in, how do you get to it? So it's accessed through the learning.gaa.ie. To get onto it, you'd have to log in with learning.gaa.ie. Some of you might already have an account there, that's great. So you just log in with the password. If not, you'll have to make an account. So you'll have to give an email address, and they'll send an email and you have to confirm it. And then once you do that once, that's fine. It should remember your password, or you can write it down somewhere. And then you log in, you click on the Be Ready to Play section, and you just click enroll on whichever of the sections you want. So if you're working with teenage players, it's the youth. If you're working with adults or advanced adults, you just click on that section. And once you click in there, it's obviously free and all the stuff will be there. And another really good point about it is that it doesn't go away. It doesn't have to start at a certain stage, or there's no time lapse. It should be there all the time, that you can go back to it and you can revisit it and take some good things out of it. Or if a player was injured, they can start from scratch, 2 weeks late. So it's not a case of you have to jump on board and keep going with it. It's there, and it should be in the back pocket of players and coaches going forward. So next I'm going to hand you over to Paddy, and he's going to talk about how we can make the most of that to help the team and the players we're working with. So over to you, Paddy.
Cheers, Owen. Thank you. Yeah, so everyone, look, as Owen said, this is something that's going to be season long and something that's going to develop all the time. So as obviously we move through the phases in COVID at the minute, we're obviously all housebound at the minute, or 5k from our home. But when we get down to different levels, the program will change as the weeks go along. So again, every 2 weeks the program will change and and all the way through the season, all the way through to the end of your season and back into pre-season next year. So it'll be evolving all the time. I suppose the big thing is here tonight, how can us in Longford Coaching and Games help you as coaches and clubs and your players? So what we are going to be doing over the Easter holidays, we're going to be running some live sessions from the Ready to Play program, which will be showing you a registration form that you can give to your players to register and come on board. So again, we'll be running live sessions and we'll talk about that later on. So it's a chance for your players to get on board, log on to the system and do some live sessions with ourselves and some guest coaches. We're here for any help and advice as well. If you're going to set up your own live sessions, which some clubs have already done, we've already helped with, we can help you with that, getting your live sessions up and running. Obviously help with planning through the Ready to Play program, but also looking at Microsoft Teams and how to set them up and how to set up your sessions. And then finally, I suppose, a bit of support and a sounding board for your ideas, because again, talking to coaches before tonight, just ringing up about the webinar and chatting to them, a lot of really good ideas out there, a lot of good questions. And again, use us as a sounding board there to say, look, I'm going to run this next week with our group. Is this going to work? Yeah, if you change it this way, it could work. Do you want a little resource to help you? Yeah, that's no problem. So we're there to be a sounding board for you as coaches and setting up these things, because again, we want to get our players back playing, training and fit to get back training and playing when we get back on the pitch, and we don't want any niggly injuries coming on board. And then when we do get in season, we want them as fresh and as fit as possible, that they can perform at their best and improve. Again, if the players aren't challenged, they won't improve. That's very important. And again, you can start this program from block one all the way up as the year goes along. But again, you don't have to start straight away. You can start in a couple of weeks' time and get it rolling again. So it's important that each phase has gone through as the program goes along. So we're there as a sounding board for yourselves. Any ideas you have to progress the program or the information and stuff you're doing with your players on. Fire head on. Okay, another little idea there is that we've come up with, and some of the groups have used, and this is talking to some of the clubs on board. How can we help you? Well, some groups are using the GAA app to engage with their players. And that's the most important thing, is engaging with your players and getting the players to engage with you. Because if we look at it now, if we were back in normal times, we'd be well in the middle of league football probably at this stage, and we'd be engaging with our players 2 or 3 times a week. Are we doing that? So a nice way of doing that is using the GAA app. It's a nice little program that you can use with your players and parents. So every player has to sign up to this app. They have access to it all the time. Some people might use it in schools and with different sports as well. A really good app that you can put up the program and see who's doing the sessions. They can put up different activities that they're doing. You can have a really good engagement with them. So we can help you out, giving you advice and setting that up. Currently, the county under-17s are using it. It's gone really well with them. I know a couple of club teams are using it as well. It's worked really well. But the important thing being is that you're chatting to your players and your parents all the time. Another nice little way of using this program would be have a competition. Get them into maybe 4 sets of 5 teams. And get the sessions rolling out and have a competition, have a leaderboard. So you might have 1 live session a week. You might have some skill challenges, and at the end of the week, then there's a leaderboard, and see where the teams are going, and let them push each other through maybe your GAA app, your WhatsApp or email or whatever function you're going to use to engage with your players. That's really important. So obviously we've seen before all the skill challenges that we put up before. They're perfect timing out to get them back working with their S&C work and complementing that. So that's really, really important. And then the other way we're looking at helping you, I suppose, is down the line, we will be doing club visits, but we will be looking at down the line, looking at another workshop, how we apply this all to the pitch. So how do we bring, as Owen said, the cool down to the pitch? How do we bring the injury prevention warm-up that they're doing? How do we bring the fitness work onto the pitch? And how do we engage our players in that? And how do we, I suppose, track our players and work with our players on the pitch when we get back on the field? Because this, again, is a season-long program. It's going to be changing every 2 weeks to what conditions we're in, and it's very important then that we apply that to our field. And again, we're there for you to help you on that side of things. So again, we're only a phone call away all the time. And then
So that's just a screenshot I took of the GAA app. So for those that aren't familiar, it was another coach in the county that actually introduced me to it for the under-17s with the county, and it's working really well. And I think the real value of it is if parents sign up and they're comfortable with it, there's a parent account and a child account linked together, and it means that the guys that are under 18 can actually post stuff directly from their phone, and the parent can see it as well, so that it breaks down them barriers that you have to ring a parent to contact a child, and then they might be with the parent and stuff like that. So a lot of the stuff the lads are posting up now is they're doing GPS runs where they might throw up the screenshot or a picture of them out doing the runs. But the value is that they can put it up themselves, and you can see the little chat box there at the bottom with the little notification. I can contact someone directly and I can ask them, how did that go for you? Or I can contact someone and say, nothing coming in all week, everything okay, or whatever it is, it making sense to you, etc. So that you can just kind of contact the player directly, and obviously the parent decides that at the beginning whether that's something they're comfortable with or not. But look, that's up to them. And then there's also a little scheduling thing there, so you can put in kind of the idea of what you want them to do for the next couple of weeks or something like that, that it's easy for everyone to understand. And again, parents and children can see it. Anything to add to that, Paddy?
No, just to clarify, the county under 17s don't all have GPSs. They all use their phones, okay? So they'll be using their own phones for tracking. So they use their Map My Run app or Strava or whatever they're using there if they are doing the running program. So just on that, fair head on. So I suppose, look, how are we going to start engaging our players? And what we try to break this into is a couple of ways for you as coaches. Okay, so there's a couple of little levels we're going to look at here. So we have the bronze, silver and gold. So how can we get the most out of resource for our players? And the bronze level is, and it's getting your players back up and running. It's the real basic way of doing this. It's just, this is the start of your season now. Get them back up and running, get them on the program. Ask your players to sign up to the program. Find out who has signed up, and that's a big thing. Find out who has signed up. And then you can check in and it can be used as a conversation starter with you and your parents or your players again. And that's very important. Know who signed up. Don't just send out a WhatsApp to them and say, oh, there's their program for the rest of the week and plow on. That just gives them a bit of information. But again, they want a bit of feedback. They want to know that there's something going on all the time. So this is this kind of bronze style of things, doing at a real basic level, but it's very easily done. And just down the bottom here, how do we check in with our players? We look at a coaching team here. We have 24 players. In 4 weeks, you can have 2 coaches have called every one of them players. Really easy. That's all you have to do is 6 phone calls a week over the 4 weeks. It's a check in with the parent. How is Owen getting on with the program? How's he finding it? Big deal when a coach rings a parent and says, look, so-and-so is looking, your coach is looking for you tonight. How's the program going? Again, makes them feel wanted. It makes them feel worthy. And what big thing it does is, again, it knows that they're being looked after and knows that this coach believes in me. This coach wants me to do things. That's why he's checking up and seeing how I'm getting on. That's the really basic way of doing it now, that you can just make the phone call, quick phone call to the parents again, going on during the week. Let's tip on their own. I suppose another level of engaging with your players and trying to really push this on, which is one we'd love to see all the counties pushing on to the silver and bronze side of things. Obviously encourage your players to sign up, building on the last time. Have a weekly online session. So obviously we have our sessions coming up over the next couple of weeks, but why not use myself, Owen or Seamus there and talk to us. How do we set up that team session? How do we get it set up? Have a little online weekly session. Run the program in the background. So all you have to do is run the session as is off your laptop to your online call, and they can do the session through that, and you can give them a bit of feedback through that. And then again, for the coach, what you do then yourself to get a bit more out of this is go on the webinars that are being set up on the Ready to Play app. Last week we had an injury prevention webinar, which was held last Tuesday night. In 2 weeks' time, we have a skills technical workshop coming up. So again, for us coaches, just to get a little bit more out of that, use your GAA app, use some sort of tracking system with them, contact them regularly, be in regular contact. And best way to have regular contact at this stage is have your weekly online session. It mightn't be even just doing the whole endurance session or the speed and power session. It might be going on a call. It might be throwing up some of the challenges that are on the system, or any of the challenges that we put up for the athlete development program we had back 6 or 7 weeks ago, and then seeing how they get on with them. And it's just having a little bit of engagement before you get back on the pitch and making sure that the players are doing the program and working with them. So that's a nice little way of doing it as well. And then I suppose the gold standard one here, which is the most important thing, and I think the top one is the big one here. What you got to do is have an introduction call with your parents and players. Explain what you want to do as a coach. Tell them we're going to go on this athlete development program. We're going to have a schedule each week for you. This is what it's going to look like. This is what we want you to do. This is how you're going to sign up. Again, then parents know what's happening. Players know what's happening. Very, very clear and concise. Introducing them, rather than just sending a program out and say, oh, do this program every Monday and Friday. Have the conversation with them, because if we were down in Clongishire, Longford Slashers or Carrick-Eben, whoever it would be, if we were there back training, we'd be talking to the parents, we'd be having these meetings. So let's just convert it to that little online. And again, we can help you with that. Get your online weekly group session going again if you can. get your group session going and track your players and have a bit of more engagement through maybe competition. So set up your little leaderboard again and get the players then to post in their sessions, maybe the GAA group or the WhatsApp, whatever protocol you're using and agreed from by the parents. Get a bit of engagement going there, a bit of banter going. And then obviously go on the webinars yourself that are really, really good for you as coaches. You'll be taking nuggets out of that you can bring through the whole season. And then finally in the gold standard, the big thing is integrating your skills training into this. Not just looking at the physical side, because at the end of the day, we have to get that ball over the bar. Our skill level has to be up to a top level. So what you can do then, you can start maybe integrating the little skill challenges, some skill practices at home, some maybe total skill programs that you can put together there that we've loads of resources on. Again, we can help you with that, but it's important that if you can introduce this to the parents and have a little engagement with them and the players, constantly engaging with them, how they're going, having competitions, having a bit of interaction with them, they'll flourish in that and they'll use their S&C work and their skill work and they'll get better and better.
Paddy, just to jump in there, so there's a lot kind of in that at all the different levels and stuff, and I suppose particularly at the gold it seems like there's a lot there, but it's not a case of absolutely everything has to be there or done. It's more a case of what would you see would be the most beneficial for your team and what parts like are you going to go at. And then if you have a group of coaches, if there's 2 or 3 coaches involved, you know, share the workload. Don't have one person trying to do everything and being overwhelmed. Whether it's someone's going to watch the webinars this week and another person is going to maybe watch the GAA group or something like that, or someone's going to get their teeth into setting up an intro call or making the schedule for the next couple of weeks. If you share the load like that, it makes a lot of work, a very little amount of work for each individual, and then going forward you could be up there at that gold standard and really providing a really good service for your team and getting the most out of this resource. Paddy?
I suppose going over Owen's point there, is it time consuming as well? So again, looking back at it at the minute, if we were on a bi-weekly basis, that the way the program comes up and we look at this on the left hand side, we'd probably train on a Monday night, train on a Wednesday night, have a game on a Sunday over 2 weeks, probably about 11 hours work commitment there to that. If we do the gold standard here, we're looking at maybe checking in with the players, doing the webinar, doing 1 live session a week. You're looking at maximum 7 hours a week. So again, if we think back to where we would be now, hopefully we're back on the pitch and it's tough to get going, but as I said, if we can get players engaged on this and getting the program is there for you, you have no work to do on the program. The program is there, all you have to do is get it out to them and get engaged with them and talking to your parents and players and having a bit of link with them. Again, 7 hours over 2 weeks, that's only 3.5 hours a week. Again, if we were back on the pitch, we were training Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, making phone calls for games, arranging all these things, it'd be well over that 11 hours that I have there on the left. So look at it that way, I really think as coaches, if we're willing to put that time in on the 11 hours, I definitely think we could get them 7 hours in. Be really important. Again, just a little bit of, as Owen said, a little bit of delegation with you yourself and your couple of parents on the team. Again, it might be bringing in someone else of the parents to bring and give you a hand out with some of the administration side of things. Could be someone good at computers. They could set up the Teams call for you. You don't have to do it yourself. Again, there's lots of little skills out there in our clubs and parents and coaches that we can feed off and get them to help us out with. So again, is it time consuming? Definitely not near as time consuming it would have been before. And again, we can get huge benefits out of this for our players leading into the season. Huge benefits. Cheers on. Okay, so here's just a sample little schedule, a couple of little options here. So you might just set a session on a Monday night. You might pick the endurance session that's up on the website here in option 1. You might send them out the cardio running session and skills session. And then on Friday, you might have your live Zoom session. So they do 3 sessions a week. They're sending these ones into your maybe GAA group or whatever platform you're using. And then you all meet up on the Friday night and you do your live session. Again, you can play that live session yourselves. Maybe you might be able to get a senior player or someone else in from the club who's experienced in strength and conditioning to go through the coaching points. But you don't need that. All you need is the videos and the resources that are there. Then you have here again, you have more options here in option 2. You go a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Maybe the routine that you always trained in Grattan's on a Tuesday night. You trained on a Tuesday night, you trained on a Thursday night, and you games on a Saturday. That's your routine. Get that routine going again, because it's a great routine to come back in to the season when you're going again. And then again down here, you'll see it here, another little routine, a Monday, Thursday, Friday. But then on a Tuesday, you throw in your skill challenge, integrating them skills all the time and challenging the players. Week 1, it could be the high catch. Week 2, it could be the kick pass. Week 3, it could be the fist pass. Again, getting the players back with the ball, but integrating that with your athlete development work. So that's really important there. There's some options, but you set that timetable, send out the schedule to the parents and link in with them and then purple sessions, which is really, really important. Get them little live group sessions. Again, if you're not familiar about doing a full live session, you can just have a check-in session for 20 minutes. Doing some of the challenges, maybe doing a warm-up, doing some stretching, doing some flexibility, and then at least the players are connecting, you're connecting with your players and they're doing some activity. So you can nip on their own for a second. So again, so them skill challenges and stuff, you have to decide what you're going to put in your schedule. Again, on the Longford GAA YouTube page, we have a mountain of exercise and skill challenges and resources for you as coaches. All our webinars we ran last year and all the skill challenges that are up this year for you to run with your players. So Owen's is going to show a little clip there for football and hurling there of some of our skill challenges.
This is the standing jump high catch challenge. You must perform 18 catches in 30 seconds. At a wall, take 2 paces from the wall and place a jumper. With an underhand throwing action, throw the ball against the wall so that you can catch it with 2 arms extended above your head in a jumping action. In order to get into this competition, you must execute at least 18 catches in 30 seconds. Good luck.
So I suppose a real simple challenge there is you can integrate with your players there. Okay, so finally, just looking at a lot, we get huge sign up to our athlete development program that went really well there at the beginning of February there. We ran 6 weeks of engagement there and we had over 500 people signed up at the end and views on our YouTube channel. But when we got down to week 6, the engagement level had really, really dropped. At one stage, there was 54 views on one of the videos. That was the lowest we would have had. That doesn't mean that 54 people just done the program out of 500. Some clubs were actually copying the videos and putting them out in their groups. And some players weren't even looking at the videos. They just had the program to go ahead. But what I'd say to here is, I suppose, with all the stuff we put together for tonight and looking at it, what's stopping us as clubs now to not let that fall off come again? Can we get these numbers back up? And can we drive it on? I suppose I look at myself and technology and things, I'm a bit afraid of it. What are we afraid of at the minute? The help is here. We can help us out as much as possible. We've done this with the nursery program we're starting at the moment. We've done it with the child. Any club that's came on to us, we're not afraid to help you out and try and get you out there and get you engaging with your players and get them out up and running. Because if it comes from the club, it's far stronger than coming from a generic county side of things. So again, we're there to help you. And I'd like people to, if you want to open the mic and maybe have a couple of suggestions there, what you've done in your club or anything that's really hindering you as a coach that we can help you with. Open your mics. I know a couple of coaches to talk to the other day had a couple of good ideas and how things worked well for them. If you can open up your mic there and say your name and we can just have a quick chat on, so it's what's hindering us going forward here. Can we get the numbers back up to the 500 and can we really get players engaged and get the club really driving this under the help of ourselves, but really you driving as coaches, and then you're in a really good place when we get back on the field. So any suggestions there, any issues there, throw them up there, throw your mic open or throw it into the chat box and we can have a quick chat about it then. Anyone there that used the GAA app before? I think a couple of clubs I was talking to the other day. Any comments on that?
Just one question there, lads, from Shamie Hagan. What is the youngest age that the GAA is appropriate for? As I'm assuming the parents can see everything the coaches and players put up.
Yeah, so I suppose anyone with a phone, maybe it's of use to them. Other than that, it's still of use to parents in terms of you can use the scheduler, and it's kind of an app for the team itself rather than WhatsApp and people being annoyed through WhatsApp. But I suppose once players are of an age where they kind of all have a phone and they might be working off their own bat, then it might be of use. And once the parent is signing up, they can decide whether they want their child to have kind of their own profile on it as such, but they're still linked to the parent all the time. So it's up to them. They can read through it and decide whether that's for them or not for them.
Very much like I'd be more familiar with Seesaw. Owen, you're not familiar with Seesaw at the minute. But so there's a parent's account and there's a kid's account. And if the kid uploads a bit of homework, the parent's account gets the notification that has happened. So the parent's account can see everything on the kid's account. It's just that the kid has that bit of independence to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then just Paddy was referencing about, obviously the videos are there already, the sessions on the Be Ready to Play. So because ye watching this webinar tonight, a couple of videos that Owen played there, they were probably stop-start for you and a little bit hard to follow. But what we would say is that you get the link for the session. So it's on a YouTube channel. You get that link. You send it out through your Hey app or through an email or WhatsApp or whatever. And then the person opens that on their own laptop. So they're watching the session straight off the internet. So the reception is perfect for that. And the call that you set up is just a call that's watching the session taking place and being able to offer encouragement, see who's on the call, be able to help out in a little way. But you don't have to deliver the session, nor is there any breakdown in what the player is able to see. They can get a perfect coverage. And also, if somebody has poor internet, they just get the link earlier in the day. They download. There's loads of YouTube downloader tools where you can download the full video out of YouTube, and then you're basically just playing it off your laptop. So again, there's no reason why you can't get perfect coverage on those videos.
So just
hi,
yeah.
Damien, or lads, it's Dermot here. Can I just
Dermot.
how are you doing? Just when you're running a session, like what you were just describing there, Damien, like are the video cameras on for the kids? Like, are you watching the kids performing the exercise, or what way are they working?
Yeah, so like there, as Paddy went through, there are a number of different ways. So when we do it now over the Easter holidays, we're going to have a couple of the county lads doing the activity. They're going to be doing the demonstration, and Paddy and Owen is going to be acting as the coach, and they're going to be coaching through it. So if you had personnel or somebody like, say, Enda Gillen maybe out in Arda who owns his own gym, if you had somebody like that, then you can use that expertise. Otherwise, you just use the videos and the tutorials that are there already. And then as a coach, if you want to be able to have it as a live session, then you would set up a Teams call. The players would have their videos on the way you see, sessions throughout the country and different counties, and like what we'd be doing as well. And then you could be just commenting about effort and application, and not about, how much they're lifting or how many reps they're doing or whatever. It's about the application that they're putting into it, and you're encouraging them to continue to try their best and improve themselves as a footballer. I hope that answers it, Dermot. If not, just ask it again.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's just well, look, I suppose I'd have another question really, and I suppose I don't know if other people are thinking this, but I'm just not sure if a 13-year-old has the maturity to do this. Like the strength and conditioning stuff, like what was demonstrated there, in that program, and it's a fantastic facility. Like, it'll be so much to learn from it, even from my point of view. But I just can't see them doing it at that age group. I think it'd be a struggle now. But I'm just wondering, does anybody else share that opinion? Because you were asking there, like, you have a question there, what's stopping this from working? First of all, is probably the maturity of the kids and their engagement and their willingness to engage. And the second thing is the buy-in from the parents to actually support that and get them to it, because ultimately the parents are going to have to engage in some way, because they're going to have to give them their laptop, or they're going to have to make sure that they sign up online first of all for it, and that they encourage them to get out and do the session. Because a 13-year-old, unless they're kind of, you rely on them to do something, they're not going to do it, I don't think. So that's just my opinion now, and I'm not knocking it.
No, Dermot,
that's my opinion.
Thanks very much, because that's exactly what we're looking for. Like, we know that, like, we try our best to provide resources and information, but we know that coaches have a fear about different things, and maybe lack of confidence and a lack of expertise, and as you say, maybe unsure as regards to what's the engagement going to be like from the players, and whether they're setting themselves up to fail or not. So thanks very much for sharing that honesty with us. It's exactly what we were looking for. And I suppose maybe some of the answers to it is what Paddy said was the most important. Owen, do you mind flicking back to the gold standard there? It's about having that meeting with the parents. And you're right, they do have to buy into it. And if they're not going to buy into it, like you're shooting against the breeze. So it's trying to sell that to them and maybe then limiting it to 15 or 20 minutes and taking one little section out of the program and building it up then as you're going along, and maybe setting them the 15 or 20 minute run that Owen had set in the programs that we put out earlier in the year, breaking it down into smaller chunks to get that engagement. And like, you will only know your own players. I know Michael Quinn was doing stuff there in St. Mel's, and there was lots of engagement. And then obviously Owen is with the under-17s, and there's lots of engagement there with that group as well. But none of that started off that way. It needed to be built up. So again, hopefully that might help as well. It's about breaking the ice, putting yourself out there, trying to plan it really well, and then doing bits in small chunks that you will get buy-in, and creating that atmosphere through the engagement with the apps that players see that everybody else is doing it and they want to do it as well.
Okay, thanks.
Can I come in there, Damien, please?
Shout.
Alan McLaughlin. Just another concern there, just following on from what Dermot said, like developing form as well, particularly with those S&C exercises. If the form isn't right, like, it could cause untold problems going forward. Like, how do you get around that, or any suggestions on that?
Yeah, so Alan, Owen here. That's why it's designed, and that's why there's the sections. So the youth section, the exercises are all done with body weight. There's no, big weights being lifted or anything like that, and everything should be to a stage that most players at that age should be able for it. But it's kind of, they can do no harm, and if they're listening to the stuff that's being said, they should be picking up the right kind of form and technique that going forward, as you said, that untold damage that might not happen because they'll do better. Really, if they're never doing this type of work, so if they just never were exposed to this sort of athletic development, as we call it, or strength and conditioning, those sort of problems start to show their head when they're 18, 19, 20, and they're playing at a really high level, whereas this stuff can only really be a help because it's managed and it's being delivered, or not being delivered, but it's been devised by the leading experts. It can do no harm. It's all body weight stuff, and it's starting at such a low level that they should be able to work up from there. And if I was delivering a session, I'd be doing the very same sort of stuff. And guys are going to make loads of mistakes, that's fine, but I'm sure that the exercises are safe for them to make them mistakes. And it's the value is what I'm saying to them. It's what I'm getting them to think about. So, for example, when I'm doing a push-up, I really don't care how many push-ups a 13 or a 14-year-old can do. I'm worried about, do they know where to put their hands? Do they know why they're putting their feet together or separating them apart? And are they able to keep their body straight the whole way down? So I'd be more interested in the player listening to the 3 points I'm giving them than if he can do 15 push-ups or he can only do 3. So I hope that answers the question. It should be safe for all the players at youth level.
Thanks, Owen.
Yeah, and just parking a point there as well. Just again, regarding the 13 side of things, and we're on supposed to one age group at the minute, but would be obviously maybe including maybe a small bit of that S&C stuff. Do the bit of the warm up, do the cool down, and maybe do some of the skills work. The small little chunks might be the way to go with the younger ones there, and gradually build it up. And obviously, Alan, when you get back on the field, you'll have more time to correct that form. But again, there is mobility, little exercising at the start, a little test they can do with them. And again, it's really just to provide engagement and gradually build it up. And again, use the levels as seen fit rather than jumping from level 3 straight out. Get back to that really small level and build it up in small gradual chunks. But definitely would be a concern. But if you just take it step by step, I'd have no concern with it whatsoever.
Yeah, and apologies if people have heard this from me before, but the insurance girl in Croke Park last year, 2020, the insurance claims were way down from previous years, but the actual cost of claims were exactly the same, which meant that obviously it was a shorter season, that's why the claims were down, but the severity of the injuries was far greater. And there were actually, because it was a shorter year, there were season-ending injuries. And I'm sure all of you have incidences throughout your clubs that you're familiar with a player being wiped out for the year because of something. And don't just think that, oh, well, it just happened. It happened because of the shortened season. And because when players went back to activity, they pretty much didn't do the non-contact stuff. They just went back into full bore. And it didn't happen in the first 3 or 4 weeks, but it started to happen from week 4 or 5 on. So it's very important that you address that element with your players, either through an online version or when you go back on the field. If that's when you start off, then obviously you will be 4 or 5 weeks behind where you need to be. So you'll either chase your tail and pick up injuries, or else you do the really proper stuff, and then the players won't be able to peak in time for the big games. Michael Lynch had a question there about who would you send the links to. So again, depending on what you're using, what has worked best for us is creating an online form to sign up. So you sign up for the program, you get the parent's email address, and the link is sent out by email. Because if you send a link in a WhatsApp group, then you're dependent on somebody copying and pasting that link back to get themselves on their laptop or in well set up houses back onto their TV. But if it's sent as an email, then the chances are it's appearing on the biggest device that they have, and that's what you want them working on. So email is the best for sending those links, in my opinion.
Damien, also on that, if the players sign up themselves, they'll be able to access it ever, and it'll all be there for them. So you could direct a player to do week 2 on the program or whatever, and all the stuff will be there as well. Now, obviously, the hurdle of them signing up themselves, but at least then it might save having to send on everything all the time.
So just Dermot here again, just in relation to the signing up. So I think on that there was a deadline of this Thursday for parents. Is that right? Like that basically, if we want to get our under 13s or 13-year-olds up to our 17-year-olds doing this, that they have to all have signed up by Thursday. Is that correct, or am I reading that wrong?
No, you're right in a sense, Dermot. So the 4 online sessions that we're going to be delivering for Longford players, that's the deadline you're talking about. So that's going to be starting next Monday, and to sign up for them 4 sessions, it needs to be done by Thursday, because we want to check that everyone on it is legitimate. If they're ready to play on a national scale, it doesn't really expire. Any players can sign up to that at any stage. As I said, if a player signs up late, they'll still see all the stuff that was there from the beginning. It's not a case of they'll miss out. So I'll be talking about it again. The Thursday deadline is for the live sessions that myself and Paddy will be delivering, but the ready to play doesn't really have an expiry date. It should be there all the time.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense. Okay, thank you.
Lovely. Paddy, are you fit to go ahead as
Commencer? Yeah. So again, big thing from tonight, it's only an information night, and what we'd love is our phones hopping in the next day or two in questions. And in fairness, it did happen on certain clubs after our child section. So again, any questions, get on to us. Give myself, Owen, Seamus, Damien a ring, or Kieran, and seeing what we can help you with. That's really important. So get on the phone. Don't be afraid to get on and ask us. That's really, really important going forward. We'll never not sort out or try and sort out a problem for you. That's really, really important going forward. So a lot of information here tonight, but the big thing is look at it, come back to us, quiz us on it. We'll come back to you. I had a couple of guys WhatsApping me at 3 minutes to 8 tonight. Couldn't get the link, didn't know how to get onto it. I got on my phone while I was chatting away there, sent it off to them. So we'll always help you the best way we can. So again, get on the phone and give us a buzz, any questions on it. Right on.
So then, Dermot, this will be your question there. So all clubs would have received an email about this morning, and basically it's the 4 live sessions that we're going to be doing. So we're going to be running 2 at the same time, one for the younger ages and one for the older ages. So again, once they fill in the form, I'll go through it now in a second. They'll put in their date of birth, and then that'll just jump them into whichever group that's necessary for them, and the link will be emailed out for them, and they'll jump into the session with us. And as Dermot said there, the sign up for that closes on Thursday, so they got to be signed up for that for Thursday if they want to get those 4 live sessions in too. And then if coaches want to sign up to it too if they want to see what's going on or get ideas on how they might deliver something similar or set something up. They can log in as well just to see what way we go about it. So then you can see the dates there. Again, this was all emailed out and it's on the form. So we're going with Monday. So this day next week at noon, Wednesday then in the evening at 7 p.m. Then the following Wednesday at 12 noon, and then that Friday at 12 noon as well. So if players can make all 4 of them, brilliant. If not, we understand that things can be busy, but we'd love to see as many as we can get on it, and hopefully it'll be, you know, a start to seeing that this resource is good for them and that they'll see it going forward coming from the club as well. So I'm just going to take you through the form real quick. So it has the details there. So there's your registration closing on Thursday at 11 p.m. It has the dates and the times. So when the parents click this link to sign up, they'll see the dates and they'll be able to mark them down or whatever, and they'll know about them. And then going down through the questions, you have the full name of the adult completing the form. So we have a parent's name, they want to take part in the session, the name of the child that's taken part, then the underage, so the club that they're playing with, their year of birth. So again, that'll organise them into whichever section, whether it's the younger or older, and then the email address, which is crucial. So if they get the email in correct, then we'll be able to send them out the stuff. And once they submit that, they'll get the emails of all the information, and then hopefully they'll be able to join in with us. Is there anything, Damien, you want to jump in there on?
Yeah, only one thing on that one, Owen. In a household where there might be 2 kids and there needs to be 2 forms filled out, because obviously it only captures one at a time and then a different year of birth. And then just, it says it in the form anyway, that if you just go down to the email, I think question it is on, that say you had 2 kids and you're using the same email address, well then the parent has to ensure that the correct kid gets the correct link, and both kids will be online at the same time, but they'll be in different sessions. They'll have a different coach, but it'll be age appropriate. So just they're important things if you get asked those questions, that 1 form per child, and ideally it would be better if it was a different email address per child, but if not, then the parent just has to, they'll get 2 separate emails with 2 separate headings. You just have to make sure that the correct kid goes in on the correct link.
Unless you had 2 at the same age, so if you had twins or something, they'd end up in the same group, but still put them in separate.
What about the triplets, lads?
Same thing, Paddy.
Sorry, Paddy, you're on there. It's Liam Belton here.
Yeah,
just a quick question. The lads on the county minor panel, would they be encouraged to do this or not?
No.
I would say that they keep going with the minor plan, because it's pretty much very similar, and it's even more individualized for them, because they've done I'm aware of their exact fitness that I'm tailoring everything towards them. If like, I would certainly be using this in part to that plan, but what we don't want is that a guy that's on the minor panel is training, you know, 3 or 4 times a week for that, and then he's trying to do another 2 or 3 sessions for the club. So I would say leave him at the minor session as long as everyone's happy with that.
Yeah,
okay,
that's great.
And just on that, Liam, if you do have guys on that panel, if you are doing your engagement session and you're, get them in on the call with the guys. Like, they don't have to do the session, but they can be part of it and get engaged. And if you're doing little challenges and stuff, get them in it. But obviously that they're not doing 5 or 6 fitness sessions a week. That wouldn't be advised. Yeah.
Okay.
Owen, do you mind going back to that the sign up form there? It's a question that has been asked the odd few times, and you might get asked it as well. So it does say on the form that anyone partaking in these activities do so at their own risk. You are not covered by GAA insurance for taking part in online sessions. So again, just that you know that in case anybody asks it, but not covered, and it is built into our forms, that disclaimer, and it's written up above as well, in up at the top of it too. So when it comes to the point of you starting to roll out your own forms, make sure and seek advice from Paddy, Owen, Kieran, Seamus, myself, to help you come up with the form that gives you all the protection and covers all the bases. And again, talking about Microsoft Teams and all the rest, that you know, you're just using the correct mechanisms to deliver this. Thanks.
Sorry lads, Paul Glennon here.
Well, fire ahead.
Yeah, just on when you're signing up there, are you signing up for 3 age groups like an under 13 and under 15 or 17? Or are we going along the lines which you started with before, where the 15-year-olds, the older ones go to the 17s and the younger ones go to the 13s? Just to let parents know for signing up. Are we signing up on 3 different age groups, is it?
No, so it's the 2 different age groups. So I think anyone who's under 17 or under 19 is in the older one, and then anyone below that, under 15 and under 13, is in the lower one. But when they're filling out the form, once the parent puts in the correct date of birth or year of birth, all that will be done for them. They'll get the link. They just click the link.
Yeah, no, it's just to let parents know before they go into it what they're facing. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, Paul, and I suppose that hasn't really come up so far, but it does capture an under 19. So the guy that was playing minor last year, it captures that group as well. Whereas the first program that we ran out was only the 13 to 17-year-olds. So that's why there was the grey area about the 15-year-old. Much there now.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Damien. I know.
Sorry, Liam here again. So sorry, this is for 19-year-olds this year, 18 and 17-year-olds. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, they can jump into it too as well if they want. Yeah.
Yeah, 02 to 08 births. So the 08 is turning 13 this year, and the 02 is turning 19.
Grand. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
So then we talked about earlier the webinars that are part of this. So there's kind of 2 strands of webinars. There's kind of the sports sciencey stuff, and then the coaching webinars. So last week, I think it was last week anyway, there was one on injury prevention for returning to play. A physio delivered it. Was really interesting stuff, some good insight in it, and just things to be thinking about. And then coming up there, you can see the date and the time, is technical coaching for all 4 codes. So again, they'll be coming every 2 weeks. There'll be a different sort of a webinar, and again, delivered by some of the best of the best, and also really applicable to the situations that you're in, whether that's youth or whether that's at adult level. There's definitely loads of information to be picked up along the way there. So keep your eyes out with them. We'll be advertising them on Twitter, and you should hear about them all over the place. So just keep an eye out and try and get on as many as you can. And then, as Paddy was saying earlier, don't be afraid to call us at any stage on something. So there's Seamus there with the hurling, myself with the North Longford clubs mostly, and Paddy there with the South Longford. Take down whatever number there is applicable to you, that's most applicable anyway, and give us a ring on this sort of stuff. We'd rather take a phone call and see what way we can help than someone just give up or say that it's too much for them, or they just don't understand and leave it be. We might be able to help some way, and we'd be delighted to help. The more engagement we can get with coaches, even right now, the better outcome for all the players. And I suppose that's it for now. I'll leave that up if anyone wants to be taking stuff down and all. Paddy, have you anything to add?
No, just there with a question. Yeah, so all the webinars we put up on the GAA Learning YouTube channel. So everything is put up there a day or two after. Again, a fountain of knowledge there as well as our own YouTube channels. All the webinars we put up there. So if you miss it, no problem, go back on and log on and flick through it, as well as this webinar has been recorded tonight. It'll be thrown up on our channel there as well. Just to finish off, everyone, look, a load of information there. You don't have to go exactly as we say, but make it specific to your club, and that's the big thing. Make it specific to Shannon Gales or Southern Gales or whatever club you're in. Make it specific to your group and your players, but get engaging with them. Try and use some of the ideas we brought tonight. Think outside the box, because I guarantee you'll reap the rewards going forward, whether it's the athletic development side, the skill side, or just the engaging with your players and getting them online. They're well used to being online now. Parents are well used to getting this information now. So, as I say, just get working on it. But again, don't be afraid to give us a call, and we'll give you as much help as possible going forward.
Sorry, Paddy, it's Liam here again. One last question. This was sent out to the clubs, was it just today? Because I don't, is that right, or was it sent out more before that? I just didn't see an email on it.
No, and come on, Liam. Yeah, put the hammer down. So pretty much everything that we communicated through the secretary of the adult club, the underage section, and the coaching officer. So 3 email addresses for each club. Went out this morning, I don't know, maybe around 12 o'clock or something. So
yeah, last Monday
follow up with your secretaries, follow up with who your coaching officer is, and that all that info is there, and the graphics and the whole lot. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Just going back to that as well. So you've seen there, you might just go back to the club one there for a second on.
Which one?
Just it was the Granard one. Yeah, so look, every club will have one of these flyers for themselves. So get onto your secretary there and get them, because that's a nice little useful tip to get them to sign up. That it's not just a Longford GAA thing. It's maybe it can be a link to your club there and get them back on board. So that's something to use for yourselves. All club specific stuff were sent out to the secretaries there this morning.
Yeah, and I suppose just to finish up, as I said at the beginning, this is a massive tool and a great resource, but it's kind of what you make of it. So it's going to be there. It's going to be there in the background, and some coaches are going to ignore it, and that's fine. They're going to get nothing from it. But the more effort and the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And again, don't look at this as it's a means to an end with the lockdown. This is something that's going to be there going forward, and it's going to be a permanent fixture and should be the best tool that a coach can put in their back pocket. It's going to have information on warm-ups, cool-downs, and the webinars are going to be consistently coming on different things, whether it's nutrition or strength and conditioning or injury prevention like last week. There's so much in it, and it can be a bit overwhelming, but if you just take one or two little tips or tricks out of each thing that you look at and bring it towards your coaching, soon it'll be a mainstay in your coaching, and it'll be a huge value to you. So again, get the most out of it for the next couple of weeks, and then keep it in your back pocket going forward and keep up to date with it. And of course, give us a call on anything that comes up. Anything to add there, Paddy, Damien?
No, Sinead Owen said just at the end of it, this will be working all the way through the year. So sessions will be changing every second week. So again, it'll go along as the season is going along. So that's the most impressive part of it. That it's not just for these couple of weeks, it's for season long. So you'll have speed, endurance, skill work, all that sort of stuff will be transferring through the whole year. So it'll be progressing as you go along. So it's something that you can use all the time.
Yeah, and it'll be a great start for you. We're talking about next year before this year has even started, but like this is going to grow bigger and become the way forward for clubs to get their players up to speed before they ever hit the pitch. So I suppose try and get in on the lower rungs, like any pyramid scheme. Get in low and you'll make the most value out of it. Thanks to Pair Boys for tonight, and Seamus and Kieran doing work behind the scenes as well. It's been a busy lock of months. The boys are itching to get back out. But look, we are where we are, and we try and make the most of the situations we have. So thanks everybody for joining in, and thanks lads. So
cheers lads, take care.
Thanks boys. Cheers lads.
Thanks.